Welcome back. We are working on another area in our personal lives for anxiety and where we can go to decrease the anxiety and increase healthier responses, healthier behaviors, and hopefully an overall healthier lifestyle for us. And we're going to do this by releasing control through and doing tension to trust. So when we're talking about control, we're going to talk about how it shows up, why it's so hard to let go, and how releasing it can actually bring us peace, freedom, and clarity. And we'll explore how to name control patterns, right? What are we trying to control that we really have no control over? We're going to practice letting go. We're going to learn about some ways to trust the process and recognize the difference between control and support, and finally how to free ourselves from perfectionist. So what's the first area that we are going to help decrease anxiety in our lives? Well, that's going to be to name our control patterns. So we always have to start with awareness, right? That's the first kind of baseline. If we're unaware of what we're doing, then it's really hard to change a behavior. So we have to understand ways that we are trying to control a situation due to anxiety. And because you can't release what you haven't named as well. And so what are some ways that control shows up in our lives? Well, over planning or micromanaging every detail, constantly checking in with others for reassurance, struggling to delegate tasks or trust people to follow through, getting anxious when our plans do change, and wanting to fix others' emotions or outcomes. So often these patterns aren't about being difficult, they're about trying to feel safe. And if we just took a little bit of a deep dive into our childhood or maybe some past relationships, we may see where this trying to control certain aspects of our lives really came about by. And a lot of times that was to keep us safe from either outcomes that we knew were going to happen, or safe from high emotions from our parents, or just safe from the anxious feelings that we have. And we need to be able to name those reasons why. And how do you go about starting to name and understand the ways that you're trying to control aspects of your life? Well, try this journal prompt. Where do I try to control things because I'm afraid of being disappointed, embarrassed, or out of control? So really we're trying to understand, the end outcome is something that's probably negative for us, right? Disappointed, embarrassed, or out of control. And so we got to find out, what do we do so that we don't have to have these negative feelings or negative outcomes? So naming the pattern doesn't mean that, you're weak. It means that you're conscious. And that's really a powerful tool, is to be conscious, because we don't change unless we are conscious. And then we just go about living our life like we have been, even when we're not happy with where it's going. And so what's another area that we can do this? Well, we can practice letting go, and we can trust the process. And this can be a very difficult one to do. And so once we've now spotted our patterns, the next step is learning to let those patterns go. And this doesn't mean that we're giving up or we're being passive. It means we're loosening our grip so you can breathe again. And so what are some areas that we can let go with? Well, we can take one step and not need to see the whole staircase at the beginning. We can say, I trust this is enough for today. We can let people make their own mistakes and fail, and we don't need to save them. And we can release the idea that our value is tied to everything going perfectly. And so the hardest part now with this is going to be the trusting process of it. And when you've lived in survival mode, trust often will feel very risky for you. Because we learned that when we were younger, that if we trust those around us to do what they said they needed to do, or to be a safe space for us, that never really worked out for us. So we have a hard time with trust. And that's why we control everything. And so what's a a way that we can build trust, right? The muscle that we need to be able to do this on a more consistent basis. Well, we can practice presence. We can watch things unfold without jumping in, and some breathing techniques or guided meditation will work with that one. And we can remember that not everything is ours to carry. And so a mantra that you can try for this is, I release the need to control. I trust that what is mine will come and what isn't will pass. So what's another area in our lives where we can really work on releasing some control? Well, we can understand what is control versus support and free ourselves from the need to be perfect in life. And so there's a little important shift that we make when we notice control versus support. So control would say, this can't fall apart, or I will. But support says, I'll do my part and I'll let life do the rest for me. And this shift allows you to show up with responsibility and with care without gripping everything in fear. And so that's really important to understand that life isn't going to end because things aren't going perfectly, or we may feel a little anxious. What is happening is that life is going on, and hopefully we're learning to decrease our anxiety and use what support says, that I'll do my part, I'll do everything that I need to be prepared for moments in life, but I will allow life to do the rest, and what happens, and we'll kind of roll with it from there. So you can be proactive without being panicked, and you can set boundaries without forcing outcomes. And here's where your freedom from perfectionism comes in. So perfectionism is often just control in disguise. That's really all it is. So it will tell us you have to get it exactly right. If you make a mistake, it means you're a failure. If you're not consistently improving, you're falling behind. Well, here's the truth. Perfection is actually a moving target. Progress is being human, and your worth isn't measured by flawless performance, right? We are humans, so we are perfectly imperfect, and that is the way our life will go. We can, again, be proactive in, setting up our life to where we have a career, we have a good job, maybe we have a family that we want, we're working on ourselves, we have the savings that we want. Those are the things we can control. Along with setting some good boundaries so that we understand what a healthy relationship is. And if somebody decides to go over our boundary or push our boundary, we can help remind them in a way that isn't anxiety inducing. And if they're not going to meet our boundaries, then we can make the choices in our life to either move forward or understand that that's just how the relationship is going to be. But that is a choice that you get because we are setting up and we're being proactive in life. We're just not trying to control every outcome. So start by naming your control patterns, right? With curiosity, not shame. Practice letting go by taking small steps, breathing deeper, and trusting what's unfolding. And shift from control to support and find your freedom from perfectionism, one gentle moment at a time. And so you're not here to hold everything together because that's not realistic. You're here to be held by trust, by the present moment, and by your own inner strength. So life or letting go isn't losing. It's actually quite liberating to let go. And hopefully you understand that in the end, and you are able to find liberation in letting go of the control that we perceive that we need in life. And so now we're here at the comment section, right? Where you get to let everybody know what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Have you been able to release control? Do you have a hard time releasing control? What part of releasing control worked? Do you do more meditation? Whether it's like sitting there and deep breathing or guided meditation, have you proactively sat down and listed all your controls and then have a game plan for those when they do occur so that you can decrease those controls in your life? Really would love to hear what your comments are. So drop a comment below, get the conversation started. And then of course, I always got to do this now. I created a journal for the self-love, discovery, and discipline videos that I did do. And it all starts with you. And this journal is about with love. It reminds us that we are worthy, that not someday, but now. The discovery invites us to listen to our own voice, to reconnect with who we really are beneath the noise. And the discipline, that's the quiet commitment to keep showing up for ourselves over and over again, even when life gets really, really hard. So this journal is your space. It's not about perfection. It's about being present. It's about tuning in and being honest and holding space for your healing, your growth, and your truth. So take a breath, grab a pen, and let the journey begin.